If you're looking for the best chewy chocolate chip cookie recipe, I have it for you. This is the easiest and best chocolate chip cookie I've ever made. This has now been my go-to recipe for the last couple of years, and everybody has just loved these and always asked for them. I'll make sure to link the full recipe below in the description of this video. One reason I love this recipe is it calls for melted butter, because if you're like me and you forget to take the butter out of your fridge, this makes it so much easier. So you'll need 3/4 cup of butter melted, 1 cup of packed brown sugar, 1/2 cup of white sugar, 1 whole egg and 1 egg yolk, 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract, 2 cups of flour, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And of course, 1 to 2 cups of chocolate chips. So first we'll start by pouring our butter into our mixing bowl here, and I'm adding the white sugar and the brown sugar right away, and we're going to stir this up together. We want to stir it on low until it comes combined, and then I can put it onto medium for a little bit just to get that color nice and light. You'll see that the brown sugar is going to change to a lighter brown. So you can slowly see the color is going to be changing a little bit, and we're just whipping up the sugar and the butter together and creaming it nicely. And now you can see that the color is much lighter, so this is what we're looking for. Now we can slow our mixer down, and I'm going to add our whole egg and our 1 egg yolk, and I'm going to make sure that that gets nicely mixed in. The recipe I've linked doesn't quite follow these steps. It kind of makes you mix your flour and everything separately and then add it. I like to make things as easy as possible and just dump everything into a bowl. Cookies are very forgiving. Sometimes, they might not look perfect, but they taste great every time. And it's usually the best if I just kind of dump everything in order, and it works out really, really well, and it keeps things super simple. And always remember to scrape your bowl down just in case there's a little bit at the very bottom that's not getting mixed in or on the sides. And then I'm going to go ahead and add vanilla extract. If you don't have vanilla extract, you can also use imitation vanilla. That's totally fine as well. Once it's all come together and it kind of looks like an even color, it looks a little bit separated, but don't worry, it's all going to come together when we put the flour in. And again, just give it a scrape if you need to make sure you get everything off the paddle attachment or you get everything off the bowl. Again, if you have a regular stand mixer, even a hand mixer, this is totally fine as well. It will work just as good. I'm just going to put the speed up just a touch to medium here just to get everything nice and even again. Make sure that it's all mixed in good. And you can see the color is a lot nicer now. Everything's mixed in, everything looks nice and light here. And then we're gonna go ahead and add our flour. So again, all in one go, I'm just gonna add the flour in. And just stir it on low because you don't want your flour kind of puffing up into your face. So again, just take your time, mix it on slow until it's nice and combined. And then you can go ahead and add your baking soda and your salt. And we want to just mix this until it's kind of combined. So keep an eye on it. It comes together pretty quick. We don't want to over mix it at this point. Just enough where you don't see any flour anymore. And make sure you scrape down the sides and get everything in there. And now you can see it looks a little bit more doughy, and you can see here that it's super soft still, but it's kind of holding its own. It's not really liquidy, and all the The dough's kind of holding it its own, but it's really soft still. And you can just make sure that there's no flour bits left. Everything's nice and stirred in. And then of course, we're going to take it off our mixer here, and we want to mix the chocolate chips in by hand. This is really personal preference. If you want to put a cup, 2 cups, whatever you want. I find 2 cups is a little bit much sometimes. And so if you want a lot, go for it. If you want a little bit less, I do want to also put some on the top to make it look really nice. So I'm going to save some of my chocolate chips for that as well. And again, you want to stir these in with your spatula because you don't want to put them in your mixer. They'll kind of get stuck and squished, and it won't really feel good in your mixer. It's going to have a tough time. So I'm just going to roll these into small balls here. These are maybe like 1/8 of a cup, roughly, maybe a little bit bigger. You can make them really big if you want to. These usually make about 18 cookies for me, 18 to 20 depending on the size. If you want to make huge bakery size cookies, you can definitely do that as well. These go really quickly, so I like to make a little bit more so that they last a bit longer. And here I'm just using a cookie sheet that I have, a non-stick cookie sheet. It's a larger one, so I can fit a lot more on it, which is great. And I don't need to spray it or anything. The cookies don't stick. Once they kind of cool a little bit on the pan, they come right off. And I'm just sticking some chocolate chips on the top, just so when they bake, they look nice and chocolatey and gooey and delicious. I did get the chocolate chips that are mixed with the chunks, just to give it a little bit of a different look and kind of that bakery style. And if you have time, you can throw these in the fridge for a little bit. So what I usually do is throw the first pan in the fridge while I'm getting the second pan prepared. And that way they kind of stay a little bit thicker. But if you don't have time, you can definitely throw them in the oven right away. It's not necessary to put them in the fridge, but sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And if I'm running out of time at the end, the last few trays, I'll just stick right into the oven. And you want to make sure you bake them at 325 degrees Fahrenheit. And you take them out about after like 16, 17 minutes. You still want to make sure that they don't look super cooked. You want to take them out while they still look a little soft and doughy. The edges might be slightly brown, but you don't want to overcook them because then it'll stay nice and gooey inside. And of course, when you take them out of the oven and they're cooling, they'll still cook a little bit. I always like to let them cool in the pan for 5 to 10 minutes, and then they will just slide off, and I'll put them on a cooling rack. Kind of gives you a nice bottom, slightly crispy bottom, but chewy center, and they're so delicious. And those chocolate chips on top finish the touch on them, and they just are so good. I've had so many compliments on these cookies. They're super easy and quick to make. They're delicious. They keep well. They stay nice and soft and chewy, but also have a little bit of a crisp on the edges and on the bottom. They're just the perfect go-to chocolate chip cookie recipe. If you're scared to bake or give it a try, I promise these will go well. Just go for it and you'll love them. Tell me what your go-to recipe is in the comments. Let me know what you think about this recipe. Thanks for watching and happy baking.